Are you starting to have trouble reading, or are you finding that you need to hold things further and further away to see? If that's true, then you might have a condition called presbyopia. In this video, we'll talk about what presbyopia is and 5 ways on how we can manage it. Hello and welcome. My name's Dr. Steve. I'm an optometrist in Melbourne, Australia. And if you're new to the channel, remember to click subscribe to keep your eyes happy and healthy. Okay, so let's talk about this condition called presbyopia that makes you gradually lose your ability to see things up close over time. It's very common and affects everyone over the age of 40. And a study in 2015 found that at least 1.8 billion people worldwide is affected. Some of the symptoms that you might experience are things like pain between the eyes when you're trying to read, or things like headaches towards the end of the day. You're also finding that you need to squint to see clearly, or you're just generally more tired when you're doing the same amount of work that you normally do. So let me know in the comments below if you experience any of these symptoms or if your doctor's ever explained this to you before. Before we learn how to treat it, we need to understand about what's going on inside the eye. So inside your eye, you have a lens, and the lens is a bit like a beanbag. When you're first born, the beanbag is around half full, which means you can compress the lens very easily. As we get older, the cells inside the bag grows and the lens gets stiffer and stiffer, which means it's harder to compress. This usually happens around 40. So your ability to read depends on how well you can compress this lens for you to be able to see up close. The more compression you can do, the closer you can hold things. As the bag fills up, you have to hold things further and further away. So to treat this condition, we need to be able to read without the lens needing to compress as much. So here's 5 ways in how we can help you read again. So my first tip is to try and find your sweet spot. It's very common that when something is blurry, people try to hold things closer. In this condition, you want to hold things a little bit further away. So find the distance that you're comfortable with and hold things at that distance every time, and you should be okay. Tip number 2 is to use reading glasses. So there are 2 different types. The first type is just general magnifiers that you can buy over the counter. Now, these are generally an introduction to people that needs to wear glasses because they're cheap. You can leave them around the house and you don't have to worry about it if you lose them. But they tend to not work as well because magnifiers assume that both eyes are the same. So this is why some people, even though they get magnifiers, if one eye is weaker, they still get those symptoms of eye strain and headaches. What I recommend is prescription reading glasses made by your eye doctor specifically for your eyes. These are really calibrated for each eye and it allows you to calibrate at whatever distance you prefer. You can make it for reading up close like your phone or reading books, or you can make it a little bit further back so that you can read the computer very clearly. Now, with reading glasses, just remember that when you look far away, you won't be able to see anything because it's calibrated for up close. So if you need to see far away and up close, you might consider multi-focus lenses. That's one lens that allows you to see at multiple distances. So this leads me to tip number 3, which is to use multi-focus lenses. These lenses allow you to see far away and up close without having to take your glasses on and off or looking over the top of them. Now, there are 3 different types. The first type is called an office lens. This is a combination of your computer distance and reading distance together. Type number 2 is called a bifocal. Now these bifocals are made in 1784 by Benjamin Franklin, and they're the ones where you see that has a line at the bottom of the lens and it allows people to read when they look under that line. Now the newest technology is called a multifocal or progressive lens, which removes that line altogether. You can look far away, and as you gradually look down, it increases in power so that you can read as well. Now, if you're in the market or if you're interested in buying multifocals or bifocals, I recommend you go to your nearest optometry practice. Historically, we find that people that buy these online tend to not be happy with them because there's so much calibration that's needed for these to work in a frame that you can't do online. So people tend to give up after a little while. They are a little bit hard to get used to at the start, but once you get used to them, they're the best thing ever because you only need 1 pair. So tip number 4 is to use contact lenses. You can use multifocal lenses that allow you to read and see far away at the same time, or you can wear distance lenses only and have reading glasses on top of them whenever you need. A technique that I normally like to use is something called monovision. Monovision is when we correct one eye for long distance and one eye for reading. And when you try to focus on something, the brain will automatically jump to the eye that is clearest for that distance. Now, it sounds really weird, but it works really well. So I recommend you visit your eye doctor and ask about monovision. Also, if you ever want to try contact lenses and you've never worn them before, really seek professional advice because they will find the best lenses that would fit your needs. So this leads me to tip number 5, which is to do surgery. You can do laser surgery, which allows you to have monovision as well. But if you're interested in this, I recommend you try contact lenses first, just in case you do something permanently that you don't like. Other surgeries include a lens implant where they can implant a multifocal lens inside your eye, or even monovision lenses as well. And a third type is called corneal inlays. Corneal inlays is when they implant a disc onto the surface of the eye, which reduces the amount of light that comes in and allows you to focus things up close. So that's it for me. If you're trying to learn how to fix your sore, red, itchy eyes, you can click on this link here. If your glasses are getting foggy while you're wearing a mask, click on this link. Otherwise, keep your eyes happy and healthy, and I'll see you in the next video.